everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're talking about a really important and I think super interesting topic, and that is self-care for crafters. This is a very busy time of year for crafters. A lot of us are making gifts, we're meeting deadlines, there's lots of kind of hustle and bustle this time of year. So I thought this would be a great time to take the opportunity to just chat about some self-care tips. I'm going to share 10 or maybe a few more tips with you today, but if you have any that work for you, please share them in the comments below. We can all benefit from some self-care tips this time of year. So we're going to go through each tip, and if you have any comments or want to add anything to our list, please do that below like I mentioned before. So let's get started on self-care tips for crafters. Now, before we get started, be sure and hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel so much and I truly appreciate it. That way you can get all the latest notifications of videos, tutorials, vlogs that I do like this, and even more. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't hit it yet and get all the latest Fiberflux notifications. So crafting, whether you're knitting, crocheting, making crafts, working on a loom, doing crafts with your kids, any type of crafts at all. I know most of us on this channel are crocheters, but a lot of you do other crafts as well. They are wonderful activities to soothe the mind, kind of recharge you a little bit. But this time of year, when our to-do list gets very long, it can get a little bit overwhelming. So we're going to go through all these tips and hopefully you'll feel uplifted, renewed, and ready to jump back in. Okay, so full disclosure, these tips are not intended to cure or prevent any illness or anything like that. These are some fun tips, hopefully to inspire you in your self-care journey. Okay, so the first one, as we're talking about crafting, specifically crocheting is what we talk about mostly on this channel. This might seem kind of counterintuitive or the opposite of what you might think. A lot of us crochet to relax, but my tip number one is that take a break. It's really important to take a break, kind of reset yourself, set it down for a minute, especially if it's getting frustrating or overwhelming. Sometimes what I do is I switch projects. I often share patterns on this channel that are purposely meant to be relaxing, simple, easy. You may need to switch up and do something a little simpler for a little bit, but it's really important to take breaks and rest your mind. Tip number two, one of my favorite tips, is to make something just for you. Even if it's small, make something for you once in a while. It doesn't have to be every project, it could be some here and there, but it's really important to make something for yourself. Treat yourself to some beautiful yarn and make something to wrap around your neck or make a beautiful blanket just for you. That's your special blanket, or make a lovely sweater to wear for a special occasion or something like that. So make something just for you once in a while. I know that's probably a big ask during the gift giving and market seasons, but it's really important to treat yourself once in a while. So make something for yourself. And that leads me into tip number three, treat yourself. So I did the tip number two was to make something for yourself. Tip number three is to treat yourself, maybe to a skein of yarn that you've had your eye on, or a lovely hook, or something that is just super special and beautiful, and something we use our crochet hooks. I don't have one nearby, or I would grab one. Well, we use our crochet hooks so much. We come into contact with them all the time, and yarn especially. Pick something that feels nice or that looks nice or maybe has a little sparkle in it, but treat yourself to something, some tools and some yarn that really inspire you. Tip number four is to take care of those hard-working hands. So I use my hands, I crochet all the time. When I'm not crocheting, I'm talking about crochet like I'm doing right now. But our hands really, especially as we kind of ramp up our efforts during the busier months, our hands can really suffer. You can maybe try to do just a little at-home spa treatment for your hands. And also if you're out in the really cold, throw a pair of mittens on. Crochet yourself a pair of mittens to protect those hands. And also before you start, especially on long stretches of crochet, do some little simple stretches. Ask your doctor or medical professional what works best for you. I know some people have told me in the comments before that you wear stretchy things over your wrists to keep your wrists secure while you're crocheting or making things. Some people wear a brace or things that help them keep their wrists in the right position as they work. So whatever you personally do, be sure to take care of those hands. They really work hard during the busy crochet months. So tip number 5 is to make a special spot somewhere in your home for crochet. So whether that's just a simple basket full of yarn that you kind of tuck away when you're not using, or if you want a dedicated chair. Some people have craft rooms, which is really exciting. But if you don't have a craft room, that's fine. Just dedicate a little spot, whether it be as small as like a little basket for your tools. You could do a tote bag and you kind of tote it around with you if you like to crochet on the go, but dedicate something just for your craft, and you will definitely pick it up more often if it's nearby and you have a dedicated either a bag or a room or a corner or a chair, something dedicated to your craft time. You will definitely pick it up and do it more often and have that relaxation time. So tip number 6, I kind of touched a little bit about this earlier, but keep it simple. So sometimes we get involved in really complex projects and that can be really fun. It's challenging, it's kind of stretching you and your skill set, you're learning new skills and things like that. But every so often, it's good to just take on something simple, whether it be a really basic scarf or a very simple blanket with some simple stitches, something like that. Repetitive motions have been shown to release stress and to have almost like a meditative quality where you're relaxing. So try a simple project every so often. Some people like to only do simple projects and have that relaxation feeling every time. But if you're kind of feeling overwhelmed or you're involved in a really complex project, switch it up a little bit and try something simple. Okay, so tip number 7 is to get as cozy as possible when you sit down to crochet. So that might mean what we talked about before. Grab your favorite chair, wrap a blanket around yourself, light a candle, put on some music, put on a favorite movie, something like that. Get cozy, get comfortable, and kind of settle into work those stitches. Okay, tip number 8 is something some people like to do. Not everybody likes to do this, but that is try crocheting outside. So I like to, not always, but sometimes I like to go outside and sit outside for a bit, let the sounds of nature, let the breeze blow by and all that, and it's very relaxing. Sometimes it can be noisy, so if you hear maybe like a lawnmower in the distance, it might not be as relaxing, but try crocheting outside once in a while and it could be very uplifting. If it's too cold to go outside or too hot to go outside, you could also just pop the curtains open or open the window a little bit and let some sunlight in too. Okay, tip number 9 is one that I really love. It's very near and dear to me, and that is connect with community. So one of our communities is the Fiberflux community, but community can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. You can have online communities that you belong to, maybe chatting with other people who are into the same crafts and hobbies and projects as you. There are workshops, like in-person workshops, classes. A lot of craft stores and yarn shops offer them. You could also, if you have a friend or family members who like to crochet or someone who wants to learn, maybe you could teach them and kind of hang out and share your love of crochet with them. So there's lots of different ways to create community in your life with your crochet, whether it be online or in person with people you know or people that you have yet to meet too. So community is a great way to connect with others with your love of crochet. If you're looking for a community, don't have a community, try starting one of your own. You could start a little crochet circle. If you're looking to learn, I know several of you have mentioned you would like to learn how to knit, start a little knitting circle and all learn together. So there's lots of ways to connect with others over our shared love of the fiber arts. Tip number 10, this is the last tip, and I also thought of a couple more bonus tips I'm going to share in a minute, but tip number 10, this one can be really hard sometimes, and that is sleep. Make sure you're getting lots of sleep, especially if you're doing lots of markets, you're crocheting constantly, you're making things for others, you're doing all your other things in your life besides your crafts. It can be hard to get behind on your sleep. So sleep, rest your brain, and start off fresh the next day. Sometimes we just need to push pause for a minute, get a little bit of rest, maybe take a nap. Okay, so I know I said 10 tips, but I'm going to give you 1 or 2 more. So one of them is when I'm feeling a little bit overloaded or I need something to uplift me, sometimes I will look to something new. So if you're curious about knitting, if you're curious about crochet, or learning how to crochet and that's what brought you to this video. If you're looking to embroider or sew or something like that, sometimes learning a new skill can give you a new perspective. Now, sometimes we do this a lot and we kind of collect a bunch of hobbies, and that's fine too. It's really important and fun to keep learning throughout your life, but try something new. It might give you a new perspective and bring you back to your crochet and give you a whole different way of looking at it. So try something new. And one more tip I thought of when I was talking about the other tips is to lighten your load. And this is so important. Sometimes we collect things in our real world space, but also our mental load too. I'm talking about in our mind and around us. So the first one, for our physical space around us, that could be donating some things, maybe selling some things, going through your yarn. Maybe somebody you know wants to learn how to crochet. You could gift them some yarn and some hooks for their birthday or the holiday or something like that. So go through your space. Sometimes I know for me personally, when things around me get very cluttered, I think that like paring things down really helps me with my mental load as well. And that's what brings us to our mental load. We often are carrying so much around, that all these to-do lists and all these things that we have to do and things we have to get done. And I'm really talking about crochet, but it can kind of extend more into the rest of our lives as well. But crocheting, this time of year, it can get really busy. We have all these things we want to make, all these people we want to make gifts for. We have a market coming up. We want to sell some things and do some things like that, and it can get very overwhelming. So try to pare down what is the most important for you, what's working the best for you, what is not working, and that will hopefully try to lighten your load a little bit. So it might even help, like I know for me, sometimes I like to make a list of all the things I need to do and then maybe draw a big red circle around the things that are absolutely most important. So try to pare down some things in your life and sort of decide what's most important and what you need to focus your energies on more, so you're not spread so thin. It's very easy when you're busy and overwhelmed to spread yourself too thin. So as things get busier, I really hope even at least one of these tips helps you. I would love for you, I mentioned this before, but I would love for you to share any tips that you may have. How do you organize your life? How do you organize your yarn? How do you find the time to do things just for fun? How do you relax? How do you rest? And so share your tips below. I would love to hear them, and I know everybody else watching would love to hear your tips as well. So add to the comments below. I will see you in the next video. Take good care of yourselves and enjoy your crochet. That's probably the most important thing, is to just slow down and enjoy the act of crocheting. It's such a fun, relaxing thing. It's what brought us to this craft in the first place. So I will see you in the next video. Happy crocheting. Bye, everyone.